Go.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. It's Thursday the 16th of September, Thursday night. This is part of my daily update via video, although you won't be receiving this until at least tomorrow, Saturday, just because of internet access. We are still just outside of Nashera. We've been visiting various camps today, this afternoon. MashaAllah, this morning we were very fortunate to get the opportunity to sit with the army commander who's responsible for the area, and his officers were briefing us in terms of their immediate work following the floods a couple of weeks ago. They told us stories of how they had to go out and rescue people. The army camp itself is actually a few kilometers away from the nearest river, and yet the water there was almost 6 feet high. So even the army camp itself was affected. You can get some idea just how much water really was around by the fact that although this army camp was still so far away from the river itself, water levels were still reaching so high. And not just them, but throughout, speaking to everybody who we've spoken to today, consistently people are absolutely shocked by the level of water. When it started raining a few weeks ago, nobody here ever expected that that would possibly lead anywhere near to the sorts of flood levels that we saw following those rains. And because, having spoken to an elderly chap this morning, he said that in his lifetime, over the past 100 years, they had never, ever witnessed floods of this sort. So people had no reason to fear the rain, they had no reason to expect anything but just the usual rain really itself. And none of the consequences that have resulted over the past few weeks. Everyone is really in a state of shock. At the army camp, a lovely army captain asked us if we wanted to go with him to go and see a local village. And we took up that opportunity just to see what had gone on. And really it's absolutely phenomenal, the level of destruction. Lots of the village is just actually like a building site. There are over 100 families who live there. The vast majority of their homes have been completely destroyed. They are now living in the open. They've been receiving some tents. A few of them have tents, the lucky ones. The others are just making do with what they have. It's an absolutely appalling situation. All of them are consistent in saying one thing. They don't want handouts, they don't want money, they don't want to be treated as servants or as beggars or anything of that sort. They simply want building blocks to rebuild their lives. They don't even want people to come in there and build for them. They just say to us, give us the bricks, give us the mortar, give us the cement, and they'll do it themselves. Consistently throughout all we've seen today, all the people we've spoken to today, the message has been the same. Let us do the work, just give us the material. And it's an absolute plea, an absolute cry for help. Again, looking at the village is absolutely shocking. When you speak to people, they said that about 11 o'clock in the morning, the day the waters came, the water initially was about 3 feet high. They took their loved ones, they took the women, the children, the elderly people, they took them up the hill, and they were thinking of coming back down and getting the rest of their goods. When they came back, virtually an hour later, the water was something like 9 to 10 feet high. They had lost everything. Every single possession they owned had completely gone. Literally all they have now is just the clothes they wear on their backs and the shoes they walk in. And they're absolutely desperate for help. The children, mashallah, despite everything they suffered, the children were still very playful. They still wanted to play football. They still wanted to engage and talk. And it really was quite moving. Towards the end of our visit, a man came to us and he brought with him a child, a 9-year-old, who could only walk a few feet without getting out of breath. He was recently diagnosed by a doctor as having a hole in his heart, which means that if it's not treated, he'll die of premature death. And the man was absolutely desperate for us to help him. Obviously in that sort of situation there's not much else you can do except for to say to him genuinely, and I say this now, to make a pledge that when we go back to London, when we go back to the UK, we will fundraise for this operation. It will probably cost a couple of £1,000. It's some kind of open heart surgery which is done routinely on the NHS, but which here in Pakistan has to be done privately. If we don't get this treatment to him, the boy will suffer, the boy will die, no doubt about it. Hopefully tomorrow I'm going back to the family, I'm going to have more of a discussion with the family. I'll record much of that so I can bring that to you and hopefully help the family out. Throughout the rest of the day, we went to another couple of villages and the stories were pretty much similar. Water coming on very, very fast, people not expecting it at all. All of a sudden, before you knew it, they were, 9 or 10 feet high worth of water, and they were literally swimming for their lives. Again, their same expression is of one of wanting to rebuild, of wanting to do whatever they can. When they found out we were doctors, a number of people came forward showing their complaints, medical complaints. A lot of them had skin problems. We gave what medication we had and referred them to the local medical camp where we were bringing in further medication and told them to go there. In the afternoon, alhamdulillah, in the evening, more medication. The medication shipment, which I mentioned yesterday, will be arriving today, did arrive. Just under £2,000 worth of medication arrived. Now we know the companies are reliable. Now we know the sort of medication demand. Now we've got delivery routes secured. Inshallah, over the next couple of days, we'll be ordering much larger quantities and really shifting the medications into the camp. I've given a further update to Qasim Rafiq, Head of Media at FOSIS, in an audio, and Jazakallah khair to Qasim, mashallah, for all his support and all his efforts in terms of raising awareness of the situation here. I'll give another update tomorrow, but I think that's pretty much it for tonight. So just keep making dua. Jazakumullah khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.